Hey everyone, Mike here with EbikeSchool.com, and today I'm going to give you my top 5 predictions for the e-bike industry for 2026. Now, I've been doing this for several years now, and just like every year at the end of the video, I'm going to go through my predictions from last year and see what I got right and what I might not have been so correct about. Keeps me honest and makes sure that I'm doing my best work to try and make these predictions as accurate as possible. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to be giving away a free e-bike. It is going to be the 10 Ways Wayfarer. It's part of a program I started called E-Bikes for Good, where I give away a free e-bike at the end of every one of my videos. Huge thank you to 10 Ways for helping me make this possible. And so if you are someone who needs an e-bike but you just can't afford one, make sure you stick around to the end to see how it could be you. All right, now let's get to it. My first prediction for 2026, and this one is a little more US specific. Some of them will be a little more general, but this one specifically applies more to the US market. And that's that I think that we're going to see a lot more state level regulations for e-bikes in 2026. Now, I don't think we're going to see any major changes on the federal level. That's just too far down the road to get something that big through at that level, but I do think that US states are going to increasingly be cracking down on different types of regulations related to e-bikes. Some of this is going to come in the form of certifications. Certainly UL certification is going to become increasingly important and perhaps regulated by some states as a necessity. In addition, I think we're going to keep seeing some performance regulations. Maybe that's speed, maybe that's power, maybe that's different types of classes, that sort of thing. So I think we're going to see that in 2026, but again, mostly at the state level. My next prediction for 2026 is that Sur-Ron-style bikes are not going anywhere. There are a lot of people that are saying that, because of increasing regulations that are targeting these sort of Sur-Ron, Talaria, Tudio, E-Ride Pro, RAR, these types of sort of off-road trail bike, some people call them E-moto. With more regulations targeting these, some people are saying we're going to see less of these on the roads. That is not correct. We're only going to see more. I don't think that the increased regulations on these types of bikes is going to impact sales or usage. I think it's going to go the other way. People are still going to be buying these in 2026. They're super popular among younger riders. If anything, we're only going to see more companies coming in, especially Chinese companies, with their own knockoffs and imitations in this type of bike class. And so they're just going to continue getting more popular. Yes, maybe 2, 3, 4 years from now, we could see some curbing of sales of those bikes if regulations clamp down even harder. But for this coming year, no, not at all. They're only going to explode further in popularity. My next prediction is that we're actually going to see more availability and perhaps promotion of lower and modest power electric bikes, especially in the US market. Now, this might sound counterintuitive, and sure, 750 watts is still going to be king in the US. That's not going to change. But I do think that several companies are going to put more of an emphasis on some of their lower power, modest power, I'm talking 350, 500 watt e-bikes, and potentially starting to launch more models in that range as they perhaps try to get ahead of some incoming regulation targeting these higher power models. Now, again, I don't think we're going, full Europe in the US or anything like that, but I do think that we're going to start to see a push towards including more of these more comfort style, modest performance bikes. My next prediction is that we are not going to see any big rollout of solid-state batteries for e-bikes in 2026 or any major battery technology revolutions. Now, I bring this up because some of you guys might have seen that recently there was an announcement about solid-state batteries from a company called Donut. They're better known for their hubless hub motors. They are just like a rim motor. They're popularized in the Verge motorcycle. And they just announced that they basically completed what's effectively like the cold fusion of the mobility world, and that they created the first solid-state battery that is actually commercializable. They gave it crazy specs, 100,000 charge cycles, fireproof, lasts forever, better energy density, temperature range, everything. I tend to fall back on that Carl Sagan expression of extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof or extraordinary evidence, and they provided no proof and no evidence of this. So while that may still be coming in this year, if they can demonstrate some sort of proof that these batteries exist, don't expect this to trickle down to electric bikes anytime soon. And I will still be amazed if we have actual commercializable solid-state batteries for electric motorcycles or other devices like this one company is claiming. Hey, if they've done it, that's great. The small Finnish company managed to somehow get the jump on every automotive company in the world working on this stuff, but don't expect this to come to e-bikes in 2026. We're still a few years away from commonplace solid-state batteries. Now they exist, they're there, but they're just not commercializable yet at any rate that would enable the mass production of these things for e-bikes. Last but not least, I think that youth access to e-bikes is going to become one of the biggest issues regarding this larger e-bike debate that we're seeing, certainly in the US, but in many places around the world. Now, there are a lot of debates around e-bikes out there, and again, I've talked a lot about regulation in this video because it is such a big topic, but while regulation is important, I think one of the biggest issues this coming year isn't just going to be regulating e-bikes, it's going to be the discussion of youth access, that is, kids on e-bikes, or more accurately, probably teenagers on e-bikes. At what age is this appropriate? Are there going to be more laws stating minimum age requirements for youth access to e-bikes? Are there going to be specific requirements like e-bike licenses for teenagers who aren't old enough to have a driver's license but are using the road just like cars and don't necessarily know the rules of the road? That sort of thing. I know this is a huge issue. Many places have this sort of phenomenon of roving teenagers on e-bikes. Crazy enough, when I started filming this video just like 10 minutes ago, in my first take, some kids on e-bikes rode by, some teenagers, and this one little of a kid kicked over my tripod, believe it or not, and my camera fell while I was filming this, and he swore at me and rode off. Federal stuff, I still don't think we're going to see any federal regulation. There's a problem with kids on e-bikes everywhere. It's not an e-bike problem. It's that kids are little today. But I think that this issue of kids on e-bikes is really going to be the main issue regarding regulation. It's not how fast are e-bikes, it's not how powerful they are. It's sort of this idea of roving gangs of youths causing issues on their e-bikes, and that's where the crackdown is going to focus, or at least that's where I hope is going to focus. Because at the end of the day, I don't think that teenagers on e-bikes is a problem. If anything, teens are sort of the future of two-wheeled culture, but it is important to understand where it's appropriate, when it's appropriate, and how it's appropriate to make sure that what I believe is an incredible technology is being used appropriately. All right, so those are my top 5 predictions for 2026. Let's go through and look at my predictions from last year and see how accurate I might have been. Now, my first prediction is that 2025 is going to be the year of the e-bike regulations. Things are clamping down, and they're going to clamp down significantly this year. 2025 really was the year that e-bike regulations started clamping down. Before that, we didn't see much of anything, and suddenly we had several cities, several states really clamping down on e-bike power levels, speed, throttle types, further clarifying the classifications, some states actually removing the 3-class system. So, things really picked up in 2025, that's without a doubt. My next prediction is that we're going to see more of a shift of electric bike manufacturing out of China. I think there's going to be a significant pressure from a few directions, but the most important is the unknown of upcoming tariffs. Yeah, that one I think I pretty much nailed too. It's not that China doesn't still dominate in e-bike manufacturing, but there was a huge exodus last year. I think that probably Vietnam was the biggest beneficiary of that so many e-bike factories just basically up and moved and opened new factories in Vietnam to get access to the inexpensive labor, shipping routes, and escaping some of the larger tariffs that have been put on Chinese manufacturing. All right, the third prediction I'm making for 2025 is we're still going to see great pricing. 2024 was sort of the year of the e-bike sales, right? There were a lot of companies that had overstock situations still coming out of 2023, and I think a lot of that pressure is going to continue to push into 2025. We're going to continue to see these really impressive sales. We're going to continue to see companies trying to get rid of the last of their
overstocks, trying to clear out shelves.
So this one I was partially accurate on. The year started great. We were seeing a lot of great sales coming out of the 2024 holiday season into early 2025. But then those new tariffs hit when prices started ratcheting up, rather tariffs, and there was like the 100, 150% tariffs at one point on China. That impacted e-bike pricing. Not to the level that some of us feared, but several new e-bikes were released at prices higher than we expected because companies had to plan for not just the tariffs that they knew they were going to get, but sometimes sort of hedging against potential new tariffs that were just unpredictable. So while we started off the year with great pricing, and we actually finished with pretty decent pricing after a lot of the tariffs came back to reasonable levels, the middle of the year was pretty brutal with a lot of that tariff uncertainty.
Now, my fourth prediction, and I'm not as gung-ho about this, but I'm fairly confident enough to make it, is that we're going to see an increase in the number of e-bikes being available with tracking options, especially on the lower end. It's not going to be limited to these $4,000 or $5,000 e-bikes anymore.
This one I think I pretty much nailed as well. I think the Apple Find My tracking especially became very popular. It had long been included in bikes like Velotric, but we started seeing it in more models. The Ride One Up Vorsa was launched with it. Tenways has a model with it. Utopia, Giant launched it in theirs. There are a few others that I'm blanking right now, but several companies have since come out with Apple Find My tracking integrated. Some companies have also gone the GPS route. It's less popular. It requires more technology and potentially subscriptions to make GPS tracking work. But definitely the Apple Find My is becoming more popular, and I hope that continues because I love when bikes make themselves easily trackable as an anti-theft system.
And my last prediction, and this one is kind of a sad one, I think we're going to continue to see significant e-bike bankruptcies, more companies closing down, and unfortunately we may see some big names closing this year as well. If not closing, then, like I said, definitely going through more big layoff rounds, because there are a lot of companies that are on borrowed time. They've got huge debt sheets. Some of these companies, I don't know how they're still operating with so much debt on the books, and there's only so long that their investors can keep bankrolling this stuff before they say, that's enough, I got to cut my losses.
And yeah, for my last prediction, this one was pretty much, hit the nail on the head as well. And in fact, if you sort of read between the lines there, it might have been pretty obvious that I was talking about Rad Power Bikes with the larger company that I was expecting to fail. And they did, in fact, file bankruptcy about a week or two before the end of 2025. So I barely made it on that one. But I didn't want to name them at the beginning of last year. I was fairly confident that that was the year that they were going to finally have to file for bankruptcy. But I didn't want to be sort of the reason for it or, sort of put my thumb on the scale because I do have a fairly large e-bike channel and I didn't want to say like, oh, I think Rad's going to fail. And then because of that, suddenly there's, a big move away. People are like, oh, well, now I'm not going to buy Rad because Micah said something. And now they fail 6 or 8 months earlier kind of thing. So I didn't want to, affect anything that was going to happen. And they did last longer than I expected. But like we saw, they did recently file for bankruptcy, and right now they're still trying to find a buyer to hopefully save the brand. So in addition to Rad, there were several other companies, but that was the big one that I was really watching, and I think that one's going to be felt for a while throughout the industry. All right, so those are my predictions, as well as a look back on how well I did compared to last year's predictions, which I think went pretty well. I think I was at about 80% or a little higher on those, so pretty happy with that. Now, before we go, it is time for the E-Bikes for Good giveaway. Again, I want to give a big thank you to Tenways for sponsoring this, and I am excited to tell you about the Tenways Wayfarer bike here, which is going to be the bike given away this time. Now, let me run through the specs here real quick. Basically, this is a 750 watt peak bike. It has a rear hub motor there, and it gets up to 28 miles per hour, so it is Class 3 capable. Now, it has both a throttle and pedal assist, so you can run it in Class 2 mode if you'd like. It'll be limited to 20. And then when you're using the pedal assist, you can actually choose between its torque sensor or cadence sensor, so you can kind of go back and forth between those, depending if you're someone who you like the torque sensor because you get to pedal it more like an intuitive, natural-feeling bike, though some people like cadence sensors because it means that while they can pedal, they don't need to push very hard, and they can still get a big, powerful launch. So it's nice you get to choose between those. Let's see what else. So it does come with a pretty nice package of sort of peripherals. You've got your light system, turn signals integrated, fenders, rear rack. It's also got both front suspension and a suspension seat post there plus hydraulic disc brakes. So, you know, a lot of really nice peripherals around there to set up that bike. The tires are 27.5 by 2.6s, so, you know, they're not fat tires and they're not even like, you know, balloon tires, but they're still wide enough to give that nice, comfortable stance. You know, you're going over curbs, potholes, that sort of thing. These are not narrow city tires by any means. So combined with the front suspension, the seat suspension, and the fairly wide tires there, that's going to give a pretty comfy ride, I think. Now, I don't have this bike in my hands yet, so I'm super excited to test it out. But so far, you know, it was only just recently announced, and it's looking like it's going to be a really nice sort of urban commuter hybrid comfort-ish model, touching a lot of those boxes there. Now, it does retail for $21.99. Right now, I think it's on sale for $19.99 if I'm not mistaken, though there is a secondary sale that's going on until January 25th that I believe takes $400 off of the price. I will have a link below in the description if you want to check it out and try and snag that deal while it's still going on. For anyone who can afford this bike, it definitely looks like a pretty awesome model and one to consider. But the whole point of the E-Bikes for Good giveaway that I do here is that I want to help people who can't afford an e-bike. And so that's what this is set up to do. So if you are someone who an e-bike like the 10 Ways Wayfarer would be super helpful for you to get around, you know, go shopping for groceries, go visit your family, get to medical appointments, anything, you know, even just getting outside and getting some exercise or some fun, then I want to hear your story. You can head on over to my website at EbikeSchool.com/ebikesforgood. There's a link down here somewhere. There's an entry form there. There's nothing that you need to pay for. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just like a simple web form. Let me know your situation and why the 10 Ways Wayfarer e-bike would be a big help for you. At the end of my next video, I will have already gone through those entries. I will have pulled out the deserving ones. A lot of people are just like, hey, I'd like an e-bike. So, you know, not those. But if you were someone who it would really make an impact in your life, but you can't afford one, I'm going to pull out those deserving entries. And then I do a random drawing. I just use a random number generator to choose one winner. You do have to be in the US for this one. I'm going to try and partner with some companies that are able to do international shipping. But for shipping purposes, you do need to be in the US for this one. And so I will go through, pull out that randomly chosen winner and announce it at the end of my next video. So again, big thank you to 10 Ways for helping me make this possible. I'm super excited to get that bike out to somebody. But now it is time to announce the winner of the E-Bikes for Good giveaway from my last video. And the randomly selected winner is Travis K. Congratulations, Travis. I'm excited to get that bike out to you. And remember, anybody else who wants to win a free e-bike, make sure you fill out that form at EbikeSchool.com/ebikesforgood, and hopefully you will be the randomly selected winner at the end of my next video. And last but not least, it is time to announce the winner of the book giveaway from my last video. And the randomly selected commenter is Mark D. So congratulations, Mark. Just let me know which one of my books you'd like. You can choose from DIY Lithium Batteries, DIY Solar Power, The Ultimate Do-It-Yourself E-Bike Guide, or my latest book, The Electric Bike Manifesto. And anybody else who wants a chance to win one of my books for free, all you have to do is put a comment down below this video. You can say anything you'd like, and hopefully you will be the randomly selected commenter at the end of my next video. If you don't wait that long to hopefully win a free copy of one of my books, you can always find them on Amazon. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you here next time.
Thanks for watching Bike School.